Let's explore the idea of reliability in terms of personality testing. So imagine that a child takes a personality test, and out of his big 5 personality traits that people have different levels of, openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion versus introversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism versus being more emotionally stable. So we're just going to look at 2 of this guy's personality traits. Imagine that he takes this test the first time and it finds that he is agreeable and open to new experiences. But if he takes the same personality test 6 months later, it shows that he's disagreeable and closed to new experiences. Is this a reliable test? It's not reliable because it gives us 2 different results at 2 different points in time. And we can be pretty sure that personality, which is a very stable construct, has not changed in 6 months. So is this a valid test? Probably not, because these results are the opposite from each other. So it will be hard for them to average together and give us his true personality. Let's think about, on the other hand, whether the child took the personality test and it showed he was agreeable and open to experience, and 6 months later it showed he was agreeable and open to experience. That makes it reliable, right? But is it valid? It's hard to say. So it could be that it's accurately measuring his true personality traits. There could be some factors that could make this testing less valid, though. Let's say that this child he can sort of understand the meaning of the questions, and he would imagine that his teachers and parents and everybody else who might know about these test results would probably want him to be agreeable, to do what he's told. And they would probably want him to be kind of open to experience and try new things and try new foods, that other things that parents and teachers would want you to do. So there could be threats to validity in this test. It could be that our student is not telling you his true personality on this test, even if he tells you the same inaccurate results 2 times in a row. Now, we're going to learn more about these threats to validity later, but it's a good thing to keep in mind that people are not the best reporters on stuff that goes on in their minds a lot of the times. Many of the things we study in psychology are unconscious, and people's conscious answers may not always be the valid ones, depending on what you're measuring. Let's think of another example of a driving test. So you drive in a car while there is a worker from the DMV sitting with you in the passenger seat with a clipboard, and they're marking about all the things that you do, asking you to do certain tasks, stopping at a 4-way stop, making a 3-point turn. In some places they make you parallel park. I was lucky not to have to do that. So let's think about, are these tests valid? If a driving test was valid, that would mean that if you did really well on this driving test, you got all the points, the person with the clipboard was happy with you, they didn't mark off a lot of points, then that means that you would also have good performance while driving in the real world. That may or may not be the case, right? We would need to think about whether our driving test matches real world driving conditions well enough. It could be that you're good at the testing scenario, but bad at some of the unpredictable things that happen elsewhere. So the test may not be valid. Or it could be vice versa. You could be poor at testing under pressure, which many of us are, right? So you could be nervous and freaked out, and this test may not be measuring how good of a driver you are in the real world. It could be measuring how good you are at performing under pressure in a closed course in a very unusual environment. We can also ask about driving tests whether they are reliable. Are the results consistent across time? If you were to fail the test the first time and then pass it later, it could mean that the test is unreliable because we got different results. Now, there is another possibility. You could have practiced and got better at driving and gotten better at the test, and maybe your true driving ability has improved. Now, there's also a problem of maybe you just got better at the driving test and not better at real driving because you know what they're asking for.